I want to take you now to Kenya, where a number of Al-Shabaab fighters have been killed during an attack on a Kenyan military base, which is also used by American forces. The base is located in Lamu County and the site is known as Camp Simba. Al-Shabaab quickly claimed responsibility for this attack. There's no word yet on any casualties among Kenyan or US troops. Well, let's get more from Haru Matasa, who joins us live from Nairobi. As you say, we're still waiting to hear what any casualties that may have been incurred by the US or others in this attack. What more are you learning about it?
Well, it was an audacious attack. This military base is manned by the Kenyans and the Americans, but Al-Shabaab still managed to break through. Right now, we're being told the attack is over. The Kenyans and Americans are now combing the area, trying to find those who were responsible. Lamu Airport is closed. No flights are coming in or out. People working near the area have been told to go home for their own security. We also know, for example, that Lamu, that particular area, Lamu County, is very volatile. It's near Boni Forest. That's where a lot of Al-Shabaab fighters are said to be hiding. And over the years, the Kenyan Defence Forces have been going in and out, trying to weed them out. And there have been casualties on both sides. On Thursday, there was an attack on a passenger bus traveling in that area. They were ambushed by Al-Shabaab fighters, suspected Al-Shabaab fighters. They shot at the bus. 3 people were killed. And people have been told generally in that area to try and be aware, stay away from dangerous hotspots like that particular area. Al-Shabaab has been gaining more ground and becoming more brave, as some people say, because they've been stepping up attacks in Kenya, neighboring Uganda, and most recently in Somalia. Last week, there was a truck bomb explosion that killed dozens of people in the capital, Mogadishu. Al-Shabaab says the reason why they're attacking Kenyans in particular is because the Kenyans are in Somalia right now, the Kenya Defence Forces, and they want the Kenyans to leave Somalia. They said that the Kenyans have no business in that country. So right now on the ground in Lamu, it seems tense but calm at the moment. The attack is over, but officials, the Kenyans and Americans, are still going through the area trying to find those who are responsible, and the airport for now still remains closed.
Haru, just a couple of things. You mentioned that attack last month in Mogadishu carried out by Al-Shabaab. We've also seen Al-Shabaab be attacked quite heavily by US and also African Union forces over the past year or so. So what does this tell us still about the capacity and the resilience of a group such as Al-Shabaab to carry out an attack inside Kenya like this?
When you speak to people, they say Al-Shabaab seems to be very resilient. And the way they fight is they kind of use like guerrilla tactics. For example, the truck bomb in Somalia, they approached a checkpoint and they exploded a truck that was carrying explosives. And they were wearing civilian clothing. It was a normal looking truck. So security officials couldn't really identify them until it was too late. And that is how they operate. They tend to blend in to the crowd. So it's kind of hard to spot them. And it just shows that the number of attacks they're stepping up. It is harder for Kenyan officials, Somali officials, other people in the region to try and fight them, because every time they try to push them back, they keep coming back and try to launch these attacks. There was an airstrike last week in Somalia. The Americans said they killed a couple of senior Somali officials. They didn't say who it was, but there is an attempt on the ground from foreign forces, the Kenyans and the Somalis, to try and weed out Al-Shabaab, but it is proving very, very difficult. And the fact that they dared to attack this military base in Kenya in the early hours of this morning shows how audacious they are, and it may not be so easy to weed them out, as some analysts are saying.
Haru, thank you. Haru Matasa joining us live there from Nairobi. There's much more to discuss about this attack. Matt Bryden is a strategic advisor at Sahan, which is a political think tank covering the Horn of Africa, and he joins us now from Nairobi. It's good to have you with us. Look, I really do need to ask you at the outset here the timing of what we're seeing taking place. We all know what the United States is involved with at the moment with Iran. We need to be careful they're not making a direct link between Al-Shabaab and Iran, because Al-Shabaab is a Sunni group, not necessarily linked to the Shiite Iran. But the timing is interesting. Do you read anything into this?
No, I wouldn't read anything into the timing of this attack, principally because putting together an attack of this nature and this audacity would take a lot of planning, a lot of time. And it comes at a moment when Al-Shabaab has been especially active along the Kenyan border, making forays into Kenya, as we just heard, attacking a civilian bus in Lamu County less than a week ago. So there have been elements of al-Shabaab, and principally a subunit called the Jaish Ayman, or Ayman's Army, active in Lamu County for some time now. So this seems to be part of an al-Shabaab campaign that has been ongoing for a couple of months now to project its influence, its force, both in the border region inside Somalia and into Kenya as well.
Now, the United States over the past year has increased its attacks on al-Shabaab positions inside Somalia. So where is the message being directed here? Is this directed to the United States or also to Kenya, of course, who have contributed troops to the African Union forces inside Somalia?
Well, I think the message here is actually the message. And if that sounds a bit like a paradox, this attack is very similar to al-Shabaab's attack in September on the joint US and Somali military base in Somalia at Baledogle, which received a lot of attention. This appears to be principally an information operation or a psychological warfare operation where Shabaab has sent a small number of fighters to a major military base. They may or may not have caused the destruction that they claim of aircraft and vehicles at the base or outside its perimeter. But the propaganda value of having actually struck across the border, hitting a joint Kenyan-American military installation is going to be much greater than the actual damage that they've managed to inflict. And the fact that the force was so small indicates that they didn't intend to overrun the base. They weren't looking for a major military victory. And they issued a statement so soon after the attack that it was almost certainly written in advance, pre-prepared to hit the media and score propaganda points, just like the attack in September last year. So I think what we're looking at is the evolution of al-Shabaab's asymmetric warfare capacity and its understanding of asymmetric warfare operations in a way that is intended to have maximum public impact, even if the military value is limited.
Matt, appreciate your analysis. Matt Bryden joining us there via Skype.